the 8th-ranked Ole Miss Rebels, who stand at 6-1, 3-1 in SEC play, travel to face off against the 6-1, 2-1 Oklahoma Sooners, who are ranked 13th. Top 15 matchup, top 15 SEC matchup. It will be broadcasted at noon Eastern time, 11 a.m. local time on ABC. Oklahoma is a 4.5-point favorite. The Sooners coming off of a road win over South Carolina. I believe final score was 26-3. Before I continue, liking the video, watching the video all the way through, and commenting your thoughts down below are the best ways to support the channel, as they help push me into the algorithm, help me to receive a larger paycheck that I can use to reinvest in producing elite analysis for you all. Subscribing to the channel, hitting the notification bell, sharing the video around, and supporting us in other ways that you can find out via the description are other awesome ways to support our operation at College Football with Sam. We are becoming the best. We want to be the best. Thank you all for making that possible. Ole Miss reeling off of a close but still a loss, 43-35 loss on the road to Georgia, that it looked like at one point when they led 35-26 that maybe Ole Miss was going to come out with a win in Sanford. But Kirby Smart prevailed. Still, they're track to the playoffs, alive and well. Same thing with the Sooners, track to the playoffs, very much alive and well. Starting off with the Rebels here, they're playing the road team. Undefeated up until that Georgia game. Some close, scary wins over Kentucky, Arkansas, Washington State, teams that aren't really good. I don't even think LSU's really all that good. The Tulane win was pretty impressive, honestly. And whenever you beat someone 63-7, even if they're as bad as Georgia State, that's impressive too. I will come out and say, and Rebel fans, don't hate me here, I don't think that Ole Miss is a top 10 team, but I have been impressed with Kiffin's coaching job. This team is in no way, shape, or form as talented as last year's team. There's drop-off at quarterback, wide receiver, offensive line, tight end due to injury, massive drop-off at defensive line, linebacker, DB. Basically, I'd say everything except running back, where Ole Miss, I think, would have liked to have Kawan Lacey last year. Everything but running back is a downgrade, and maybe even a major downgrade. So the fact that they are already bowl eligible and they have a chance against Oklahoma on the road, they'll be favored over South Carolina, they will beat the Citadel, they will be favored over Florida, favored over Mississippi State. Ole Miss is on track to go 10-2. And that's pretty impressive. That would be a pretty impressive season. I think that would be a fringe coach of the year caliber season for Lane Kiffin if they go 10-2. If they beat Oklahoma and then went out and go 11-1, I think Lane Kiffin might deserve the coach of the year award. Rebels are 11th in FPI, 12th in S&P Plus. They're top 25 in points per play margin. Let's look at some of the strengths and weaknesses, of the Rebels here. So Trinidad, Chambliss, and Ole Miss's wide receivers. That's DeJon Stribling, Caden Lee, Harrison Wallace III. I think that they have a really good fit together, where Chambliss can improvise a bit. He, I think, is a jack of all trades and a master of none. He's not supremely talented, but he is a smart player. He knows the playbook very well. He's disciplined. He maximizes his own talent, and he knows how to get the ball out quickly and get it to the right guy. So I like what Ole Miss has from a passing offense angle. And Kawan Lacey was a great pickup in the transfer portal. A fantastic pickup. My issue with Ole Miss, and I think their biggest weakness, is their defense. Their rushing defense, pretty porous. They give up a 45.8% rushing success rate. They only get an 8.7% defensive havoc rate. And those numbers just aren't good, guys. Whether it is Will Eccles, Xavier Harris, Suntarine Perkins, Cam Franklin, Deshaun Womack, Princewell, Unman Malin, I don't think their portal additions up front have panned out in the way they did for last year's team. And they're a bit young up there. Like Eccles and Franklin are true sophomores. They're a little bit younger. They're not as bigger. They're not as NFL-like. not as freakish. And whereas last year they had one of the best run defenses in America and one of the best pass rushes, probably even the best pass rush in America last year, one of the best, it's dropped off in a major way. And they struggle to create turnovers, sacks, forced fumbles. They struggle to stuff the run. I mean, the fact they held Georgia to, I believe, 4.5 yards per carry on the ground was pretty impressive relative to what I expected Georgia to do to that Ole Miss defense. This is a team that is well coached. They know how to put together an elite strategy offensively. I'm fascinated to see what Lane Kiffin will do against a Brent Venables defense. That's going to be quite the storyline and very fascinating. But also, it's interesting. There's a lot of unknown, I think, between what Oklahoma's offense can do against this Ole Miss defense. That is where I think the unknown is. We know that Ole Miss's offense is probably not elite, but it's great. And they can put together elite scripts, and they make elite adjustments. We know Oklahoma's defense is elite in all phases, right? So I think that's why Oklahoma is favored here by more than just the 3 points home field. I think the matchup where you'd lean Oklahoma's defense against this Ole Miss offense and then Oklahoma's offense against this Ole Miss defense, Oklahoma can't run, Ole Miss can't stop the run. Oklahoma does a good job protecting the quarterback, but they're not awesome there. Ole Miss struggles to get to the quarterback, but they also have enough talent at secondary to probably maybe give Mateer some issues or cover these wide receivers well enough. And Pete Golding is a good enough defensive coordinator. So there are a lot of unknowns here, and this is going to be a different road test from the one that Georgia presented, where Georgia presented an offense that I think almost any defense in college football would struggle to stop. Obviously, Oklahoma or Ohio State would not allow 43 points. They would not allow Georgia to, I believe, score on every possession they had. I think Georgia did. I don't think they punted at all for the whole game. I think Ole Miss just held them to field goals, and those were the defensive wins. But Georgia's offense would at least score some on those defenses. Those defenses I don't think would hold Georgia scoreless, for example. That's a good Georgia offense. But the Georgia defense is outside the top 25 in efficiency currently. As for Oklahoma, they are one of the best defenses in America, but their offense is outside of the top 25 in efficiency. So, what do the Sooners bring to the table? What does Oklahoma present here that can be a real challenge to the road team? Outside of, obviously, the home crowd and the pass rush and the defense playing off that. Well, I think that Lane Kiffin with Trinidad, Chambliss, and Lacey, even though they're not awesome at running the ball, they will want to test it. Even if it's against an Oklahoma, defense that excels at stopping the run, is big on the inside, is really just big and athletic everywhere. And Brent Venables is a fantastic play caller. Oklahoma's only loss was an injured Mateer and probably somewhat of a bad game plan matched up against a Texas team that was more talented than Oklahoma, and quite honestly, not just more talented, but matches up with them incredibly well. After that Kentucky game, I don't even know if Texas is just straight up better than OU, though I would be inclined to say yes, they are. But on top of probably being the better team, Texas matches up well with Oklahoma, because Texas is, in a lot of ways, like a better version of Oklahoma. They're very similar defensively in terms of the overall talent and how good they are. I think Texas is better at pass defense. Oklahoma's a tad bit better up front. Offensively, Texas's offensive line is much better at run blocking, and they're bigger there than Oklahoma. They have better backs. And Mateer is not a dramatically better passer than what Arch Manning is, nor are his receivers dramatically better. So it's just always going to be a bad matchup. They went on the road, did business against South Carolina. That was very impressive. This Ole Miss team is going to be a challenge to them in a unique way. I do believe that Oklahoma's dominant defense, only allowing 3.85 yards per play, which is first, thanks to Kip Lewis, Kobe McKenzie, and then Dominic Williams, R. Mason Thomas, David Stone up front. I love what this Oklahoma defense presents here. And I believe that on top of a 45% passing success rate, that's on John Mateer, that is on Deion Burks, and also their tight end, Jaron Kanak. And their tackles, I think, have done an effective job protecting John Mateer as well. They've performed better than I expected in a variety of different games, though the offensive line overall is still somewhat of a mess and is, discombobulated. Oklahoma here is a similar caliber team to Ole Miss, 14th in FPI. Bill Connolly's S&P Plus loves them. They have them as the 5th best team. They're 12th in points per play margin, above a 5th of a point per play margin, which means they score 0.221 more points per one of their plays compared to one of their opponents' plays. That's the hallmark of a great team. A great team. Better than Ole Miss in that area, similar in FPI, better in S&P Plus. They're playing host, and they're favored by 4.5 points, I think, for a reason. The unknown of their offense against Ole Miss's defense, I think, is something that it depends on whether or not Mateer is healthy. And I don't know how healthy he is, whether he's, at 70%, 80%, 90%, 100%. Don't know where he's at. Probably not 100%, but probably not anywhere lower than 80% either. I would assume. It's been a few weeks since that Texas game. I imagine that hand is being nursed, and they played pretty vanilla and pretty businesslike against South Carolina. This is definitely a bigger game, a game that they're going to prepare for more. So I like Oklahoma here. I believe that the Sooners are going to win, and I think they're going to cover. I don't think this game will get out of hand because Georgia is a clearly better team than Ole Miss, though I do believe Oklahoma matches up better against Ole Miss than Georgia does. But I do think Oklahoma, they're going to win by 7 points. Maybe they'll win by 10. I think they will be able to get to Trinidad Chambliss in pass rush in a way that Georgia just absolutely could not, because Oklahoma's pass rush is awesome. Georgia's is on the opposite end of the spectrum. It's pretty terrible. Oklahoma's better everywhere defensively, minus maybe linebacker and maybe D-tackle 1, I would argue. And they do call a better defense. Offensively, I don't expect a ton of success from Oklahoma, but similar to the Michigan game where Ben Arbuckle outcoached Wink Martindale, I expect Ben Arbuckle to outcoach Pete Golding here and move the football enough to get into scoring opportunities that convert into touchdowns or that convert into field goals. And, Michigan in that game did not play all that well at different parts defensively, but they held Oklahoma to 24 points, and Oklahoma, really struggled to run even when they had a numbers advantage in the box. I don't think that'll be the case against an Ole Miss defense that really struggles to stop the run. So the Sooners are going to win here and also are going to cover. And I like their matchup edges against Ole Miss's passing offense and rushing offense. And as for Ole Miss's defense and Oklahoma's offense, I think there's going to be a lot of trading back and forth there. And I think the staffs and overall teams are pretty equal. Just Oklahoma's defense, I think, having key advantages over the Ole Miss offense. I think that Brent Venables is an excellent defensive mind in the same way that Kiffin is an offensive mind. So it comes down to the players and the talent that you have. And I think Oklahoma has the much better player on defense compared to Ole Miss on offense. That, along with home field advantage, I think will produce a Sooners win. Looking at the SEC standings here, Oklahoma has an opportunity to shoot up the board, be in that third or fourth spot. If they win this game here, they're tracked to potentially going to Atlanta, and the college football playoff are still alive and definitely healthy. They do have to travel on the road to play Alabama, though. I hate that matchup for them, but they will certainly be in the playoffs at 10-2. As for Ole Miss, this is the toughest game remaining on their schedule. If they lose here, their playoff hopes are still alive, much more so than if Oklahoma loses here. If they win, I would be in awe if they somehow missed the college football playoff. Sooners win. Sooners also cover in a noon Eastern time SEC conference game. I know you can't tell it in my voice, but I honestly am excited for this matchup. Thanks for watching this video. Make sure, if you haven't already, to like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, comment your analysis and thoughts down below so I can reciprocate my thoughts with you in the comment section, and check out anything on these end screens that are up here. Whether it's a recommended video or playlists for teams that I'm talking about in a preview, prediction, or a reaction, make sure to hit the notification bell on those, scroll through them, and watch any suggested videos if you are interested. Thank you for helping College Football with Sam become the best and the biggest college football brand and channel on YouTube and other social media platforms. We will reach that one day because of your support.